and the Masters of the Universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull!" Cringer became the mighty Battle Cat, and I became He-Man, the most powerful man in the universe. Only 3 others share this secret. Our friends, the Sorceress, Man-at-Arms, and Orko. Together we defend Castle Grayskull from the evil forces of Skeletor.
Hello, this is OptimusSolo, and welcome to the 9th chapter in Tales of Eternia. With me for this journey into the Masters of the Universe franchise, as always, is none other than the freaking great one, TFG1Mike himself. Hello.
That's right, hello.
Are you ready, sir, for more powers of Grayskull?
As always.
Excellent. Because in this episode of Tales of Eternia, we'll be giving you our thoughts on episode 25, Quest for the Sword, episode 26, A Beastly Sideshow, and episode 27, A Tale of Two Cities. So we hope you're ready, because it's time to go back to Eternia.
It's an entire world. What's that big pit?
It would seem to be a pit to the center of the Earth. That's the source of their light, heat, and natural energy.
Boy, if I could capture some of the energy down in that pit, could I do magic?
That pit is bottomless, my friend.
I wouldn't want to see that big pillar fall. It looks like it holds up the whole thing.
I am leader.
Look.
Raybar is warrior. Leader. Raybar is their leader.
Or at least he thinks he is.
He seems to think this sword makes him a leader, but all it makes him is a bully.
How are we gonna get the sword away from him?
Well, if I can rope one of those rocks with the iron vine, I can swing down and snatch the sword from Raybar's hand. I'll need a distraction.
No sooner said than done.
So we start the day with episode 25, Quest for the Sword. Written by Mark Richards and had an air date of Friday, October 7th, 1983. So this is how we ended our week back in early October 1983. The plot goes something like this. Orko, Tila, Man-at-Arms, Prince Adam are having a picnic. A volcano erupts, sending earth tremors ripping throughout the land and producing a large chasm, stranding 2 children on one side. A rock creature, Raybar, emerges from a now, I like to call him Grimlock, but emerges from a now unsealed cavern entrance and takes the Sword of Power. He-Man and his friends journey into the very center of Eternia in order to get the Sword of Power back and peacefully convince Raybar and the Rock People that they are not violent creatures. We didn't have any of the evil warriors in this. No Skeletor, no minions. And as far as the good guys, we had our regulars with the sidekick Ram Man thrown in there as well. And the PSA was all about what makes a good leader, and it was given to us by He-Man. So, sir, Quest for the Sword, thoughts on the plot?
I'm looking at the script here, and it's telling me that Raybar is misspelled. I know it's not, because it doesn't, obviously Microsoft Word doesn't recognize the name. But as soon as I'm looking at this, the first thing I think is Babar. For some reason, looking at that name, I don't know why.
I can see it.
After He-Man tries moving the rock, it causes a rock slide, and he has the weirdest scared face ever. The picture will be in the post.
There will be lots of pictures for this episode in the post that are very... And if you haven't been checking them out, you need to go back and review all the past posts, because we got some crazy pictures in every episode post. That's the benefit of going to the website and not just relying on iTunes, because you get to see our funny picture grabs from the
Oh,
episode.
yes, exactly. I got a couple more notes here for the plot. I find this episode to be very unique. No Skeletor plot, and possibly a world without Adam and Cringer. Very interesting indeed. That really grabbed me with this one. I thought that was really cool. The possibility that Adam and Cringer would never be seen again if he couldn't get the sword back.
The plot is not where this episode has problems.
We'll get to that eventually.
No, seriously, like I agree with you on the idea of First of all, the idea of the sword being gone. Second of all, the idea of He-Man and Battle-Cat being stuck in that form. Those are all intriguing ideas to play with. It's all it would be. I'm projecting here backwards, but I would think that would be interesting as a kid to be like, you actually believe that. Oh my goodness, there's the dilemma. What if he can never get the sword back? He's stuck in one shape. I've never thought about that. Because you just accept the fact that Adam turns into He-Man, He-Man turns back into Adam, and as a kid, you might never have put in to your brain what happens if they get stuck in one form or the other. If they can't switch. So I thought that was an interesting idea. It introduces us to another group of creatures on Eternia, the rock creature guys, which we'll get to later.
We'll get to, yeah.
And there was some weird plot things with the volcano and the chasms and stuff like that. But the idea of the sword being gone is the part of the plot that I can enjoy. The rest I have some issues with.
Well, this is also a plot issue I have. I couldn't put it in Snake Mountain because it directly has to deal with the plot. As soon as they threw the sword and Orko wasn't anywhere to be found, I knew at the end, I could see it, that he was going to manage to, he managed to save the sword.
Yeah.
That was just, you could see it a mile away. If no one could have seen this, they must have been blinder than a bat.
It was like something that you could see, but then at the same time something that you hoped wasn't going to happen.
Exactly.
Like, please tell me Orko's not going to come up with that damn sword.
But I do like the way, like, he wasn't just, hey, He-Man, I have your sword. I like how he put it in it, and it reminds me, and again, oh wait, was this is 83 still, right?
All 83.
Right, but was this before or after Friday, October 7th? For some strange reason, that scene with Orko having the sword pop out of his head reminds me of a certain sail barge in a certain R2 unit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It does have kind of that feel to it. Did you have any thoughts, sir, on the PSA and what makes a good leader, and that it's not just about having a sword or a gun or a weapon or power?
Yeah,
it's about.
no, I liked it because not only is it teaching kids and people in that time not to be violent. It's also showing you that you can use your brain instead of using brawn all the time.
It kind of had like almost a side feel of like a message against bullying and a message against just like, items don't make you strong. Some type of physical thing can't give you courage necessarily. It's what's the character is important and stuff like that. So it kind of had multiple levels on it. So I didn't mind the PSA on this one.
Yeah, same here. I liked it. It wasn't just a one-off message. It first of all, it related to the episode. I love when this show does the PSAs that are related to what happened in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Those one-offs just reminds me of Scott and T-Bitch.
That's true. Well, I am interested to see what you found as you ventured through Castle Grayskull. So let's see what we find there.
Creature looks ferocious. We've got to save the children.
I can float across.
No, Orko, there's a downdraft that will pull you down to the bottom. Run that way, toward the forest.
Oh, good. I thought maybe you were thinking of...
I am. Now get going. And don't come back when I call you. I need a reason to get out of sight.
All right, we find ourselves in Castle Grayskull looking for the good things about this episode. I'll go first because mine will be short and sweet. I basically already mentioned them. I do like the plot element of He-Man being stuck in that form long term. I like the plot element of the sword being lost. As far as the actual execution of this show, I could only come up with one thing, and that was I liked that the strategy used by Adam this time to find a way and an opportunity to become He-Man. He actually made Cringer run off so that they could be separated from the group, and then he could become He-Man. I thought that was kind of an interesting twist because I haven't seen that before. So I kind of liked how they did that. It changed it up a little bit for me, and that is literally the only things I could find in Grayskull, so hopefully you had a better treasure hunt there.
I seriously cackled when he says in response to Adam, "Oh, good, I thought you were thinking of... I am."
I am, you stupid animal.
Cringer? No, 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 no. Knock it off. Cringer might be the funniest character in the entire...
Oh, he is.
After this... No, seriously. This episode and the next episode. Cringer by far, so far in the entire series, is my favorite funny character.
Oh, there's no doubt that he's the comedian of the group. I know a lot of people would initially assume that Orko is going to be the comic relief, but it's always been Cringer and Battle Cat, especially Cringer.
Let's put it this way. I'm just about at the end of my rope. Ironic, you had a very bad pun.
Yeah.
And I did think Ram Man's distraction was funny. I thought that was kind of cool, even though it kind of backfired on everybody because he rammed himself into He-Man. But I did think, the whole bouncing around the cavern, I thought that was funny. That's all I got.
That was all you got in Grayskull too?
Yeah.
Oh my lord, folks. Buckle up, it's about to get bumpy. We're making our way to Snake Mountain.
You could catch a dragon whale with iron vine. It's unbreakable.
Oh, please don't say dragon whale. They're scary.
Not finding that much in Castle Grayskull. I'm hoping that we can find at least something to talk about in this episode in Snake Mountain. I know I have some things to talk about, but being the gracious host that I am, I'll let Mike go first. What are your things that you found roaming around Snake Mountain?
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And just make sure you get it all out, because once I start talking, I'm not going to shut up.
Oh, I know. I know. Oh, so you're going to pull me. Nice. We're just now meeting the rock people. Everyone says rock people, yet somehow He-Man knows the name of the one that took his sword. Am I missing something here? Did the rock people making noise say the dude's name? I never heard anyone outside...
I get a name tag on.
Okay,
Just
but
kidding.
I don't remember. Okay, but I'm saying in that scene when they're in the cavern and He-Man hears the mumble voices, I never saw anything in the animation to show a name tag to hear them say Raybar. I never heard anything, and all of a sudden He-Man knows the dude's name. Seriously?
Would it have been awesome if He-Man would have called him Grimlock instead? Just saying.
Was it Greg Berger?
No.
Okay.
That's all I can think about when I'm watching him. The speech pattern and everything. Just like, oh my goodness. Anyway.
This happens several times in these episodes today. Man-at-Arms says center of the Earth. Hello, the planet is Eternia.
Oopsies. That's a good catch.
Okay, but no. He says, I don't think he says it twice in this episode, but he says it twice in this set that we're gonna watch. He says it this time and he says it another time. And I think that's the I don't know if it's the fault of any writers in general, because maybe I really can't fault the writing, because I've heard wait a minute. No, I'm trying to think in other mediums, stuff like Superman, the animated series. When they reenact the destruction of Krypton, they use the term tremors. They don't use the term earthquakes. But I have heard in other places and other planets use the term earthquakes. But I'm thinking they've set up Marlena is from Earth. Why would they say the center of the... How many times has He-Man got to say that he needs a foundation? Jeez, he says it like 4 fucking times. I know these rock people are simple creatures, but seriously, they threw the sword in the center of the fucking planet. Really? Another mask moment with frozen screen animation before the He-Man Spinaroonie takes place. It was after they threw because when they threw the sword into the center of Eternia... See, I caught myself. When they threw the sword in the center of the planet, it went to that was the cliffhanger. But that's pretty much all I got. What do you have? Apparently you have a lot of stuff.
Well, let's just start with animation.
Okay.
The animation in this episode is by far the worst animation we've seen in this entire series. The animation is awful. Awful, 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 awful. We have some pictures that'll show part of it. He-Man's face when pulling the vine is awful. Some of it's the animation. When I say animation, I guess I'm talking about animation and a little bit of a design and the actual like drawing of it, not just the actual physical animation of it. The rock monsters look silly and childish. Like those did not look like things that belonged on Eternia. Those look like things that belonged with the GoBots. And I'm not one to rip on the GoBots, but these rock monsters.
It was an early Rock Lord.
These rock monsters looked terrible. They weren't believable. They looked silly and childish, like I said, just awful. There was some animation errors. The color of vine that He-Man's using changes from red to blue on multiple occasions.
Red to blue to orange to yeah.
There was just so many things about this episode where it looked out of place, where the movement wasn't fluid, where there were static pictures, or it was just animation was all over the place in this episode, and I thought it was absolutely god-awful. As far as actual issues go, why every time that they show Eternia from a distance, does Eternia have the outline of North and South America on it?
Eternia has the outline of Earth. It does.
It's always, they always show North America and South America, that part of the Earth. Like it's very identifiable. Like it's basically the same outline. Like if you took that outline and you put it next to an actual globe, it's the same thing. Maybe just a little blurrier on the lines or something like that. There was some bad writing as far as dialogue goes in this episode. He-Man is talking to the rock monster, and he's like trying to get him to give the sword back, or he's trying to make him, not be a bad guy. He literally says to the rock monster, "Just be a great guy." What? What? That was our hero of our series going up to a bad guy and just being like, "Hey guy, why don't you just be a great guy?" Like that was awful writing. I've never noticed this before, but I have a question for you, or maybe some of the other He-Man aficionados out there.
Mm-hmm.
Why does Ram Man's belt have a skull on it?
It's just the way the design is.
Isn't he a good guy? Don't
Yeah.
usually relate skulls to bad guys.
Yes, generally.
I'm confused. Is Ram Man gonna turn on us?
No.
I just don't know why he has a skull on his belt. I understand that they were going for the bully angle a little bit, and you're a dumb rock man with sword. You're a bully because that doesn't make you. Why does just him having a sword make him a bully though? Like He-Man's doing all kinds of crazy stuff with his sword. If I'm a character, I'm gonna grab the sword too. It doesn't make me a bully. It says, "Hey, that guy's using this and it must be powerful. I'm gonna use it."
I think they were more so going for the fact that violence doesn't beget more violence, and the fact that he was pushing those people around and he was using the sword and the gun to do. They were using the sword and the gun to do it.
I just thought it was because they called him a bully before some of that happened.
Yeah.
Like he initially, I could understand if they let that develop a little bit, and they don't do it until he's with his other rock people and he's actually acting like a bully, which he did. But it was almost immediate where he gets a sword and He-Man calls him a bully. I'm like, he's not acting like a bully yet. I don't know. I just think this episode was badly written, badly animated, all kinds of stuff. I do understand and agree with you that Ram Man bouncing around as a distraction was funny and whatnot. But Ram Man and He-Man running into each other was a complete epic fail. That is our hero. That is our main guy who was just dumb enough to jump through there and get smashed by Ram Man. He-Man, you just lost some points for me, boy. Man, come on.
It's like R2. After he fixes the hyperdrive and it launches and he flings back.
Mm-hmm.
Or
you been smarter than that.
Yeah, if you want a comedy reference, that's like, Darth Helmet telling them to stop on ludicrous speed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just they came up with a plan. The plan was to use Ram Man as a diversion, so therefore you should know Ram Man is bouncing around. You are the one that told him to do that. You should not jump and get hit by him. Orko catching the sword was lame. I knew it had to happen. There was no way around it. You had nobody else to do it, but I just thought it was lame.
Yeah.
I wanted them to do something else, some other way to get this. I don't know. I didn't know what they were going to come up with, but I knew that's what they were going to do, and I was like, I'm disliking this before it even happens. There's a part early on, I should have said this earlier, but when the Eternia quakes happen,
Yeah.
and the chasm, first of all, why are these random kids out by a volcano?
Yeah, that's
Why is
true.
the mother and the two kids, I'm assuming brother and sister, or whatever they are, I don't understand why why are random humans always by something that's about to like explode or something? We've seen that multiple times where it's just like, oh, here's a random humanoid character next to a volcano or next to something that's going to have an earthquake, Eternia quake, whatever. Anyways, the quake happens and Orko's like, no problem, He-Man, I will just float across, grab your sword, and be back. And He-Man's like, wait, I'm a genius. I'm all of a sudden like the scientific brain here. You can't do that because there's a downdraft. Downdraft will suck you down there. Not good for Orko. That's all good and fine and dandy. Except for then moments later, I don't see how he uses the rope or the vine to grab onto the sword and to like pull a little bit.
Right.
And there is still a giant chasm, and at this point apparently there is no downdraft because now Man-at-Arms can cross the chasm without a problem.
Yeah.
So is the downdraft there or is it not there? Because if it's not there and Man-at-Arms can cross over like he just did, then Orko could have done that to begin with.
Yeah, that was a little strange.
So I just didn't understand that whole thing. If you can't cross the chasm, you can't cross the chasm. I don't think they did anything that would eliminate the downdraft.
Wile E. He-Man, super gene. No, it doesn't have the same ringtone.
Maybe I just don't know my my physics. Maybe time passed and the downdraft disappears. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
But the main thing about this episode, you can't understand it maybe from some of the stuff we're saying, but if you actually watch this episode, you will see it is visually unappealing.
Yeah, it is, very much so.
All right, well, let's see what kind of awards, if any, and what we actually rank this show. So let's get to that part.
You don't need that ship. I'll ram a new entrance into the mountain.
The mountain's solid stone. You could get a headache ramming.
Like the one Adam's going to have when I find him.
Still no luck finding him, eh?
He and Cringer are probably out picking daisies somewhere. Maybe I'm being too harsh. There was nothing he could do to help the children anyway. Still, he shouldn't have run off. And he should be told. Maybe if you tell him, it will sink in.
I promise you, Tila, Adam will know how I feel about the whole thing.
If you find him, he's never around when you are anyway.
Yeah, I don't think I ever seen the two of you together.
It is strange that your paths seldom cross.
Powers just will it that way, I guess.
Enough talk. Let's go get your sword from the Rockmen before they hurt themselves or someone else with it.
All right, it is award ceremony time for episode 25, Quest for the Sword. We'll start with Mike. Do you have a power sword or a havoc staff to present to anybody?
Oh, yes. Let me see here. Power swords to both Cringer for being so damn funny and Ram Man for just being awesome until he rammed himself into He-Man. I love his bounce effect. I love that sound effect. I love how he does it. I think it's cool.
It's unique.
And him just doing it for a distraction, I thought that was interesting. What about you?
Superhero version of Tigger. Anyway,
yes.
I have a havoc staff
Uh-oh.
to whap upside the head, beat in the face, and turn sideways. Never mind. For the entire animation team on this one. Anybody that had anything to do with the drawing, the painting, the animation, anything to do with the visual aspects of this episode gets beat in the frickin' head with a havoc staff. I'm assuming they were all Asian. I'm just kidding.
Wow. Okay, then.
I did not mean that in a racial way. I just meant that, sometimes they would ship this out to,
No. This was all... No. This show is all done over here, I think.
I think it was too, but I think this episode made it out.
I don't know.
This episode made it out of the U.S.
Pixel Dan, let us know.
Got done for a nickel somewhere, and then got sent back to the U.S. I'm digging myself a hole. All right, what kind of rating are you going to give yourself this episode?
I don't know. I did write something down higher than what I have written down now because I really liked Cringer's humor, but now that we've talked out the plot and just all the stuff that's bad with this episode, I can't. Originally I was going to give it a 4 because I like all the humor, but I got to give it a 2 out of 5 Orcos. It's just, the animation was so poorly done, and just some of the writing is so bad.
Just be a great guy, Rock Monster.
Well, okay, well, not even...
I forgot one.
What?
He-Man calling Ram-Man Rammy. That's about the most horrible choice of a nickname for a superhero or a hero. Rammy?
Well, what else are you going to call him, man?
Ram-Man. It's the same damn amount of syllables. You're not shortening it any by saying Rammy. You're just making him sound stupid.
Well, it's He-Man's way of showing affection.
He-Man's bandit.
Not like they can go in the Eternian bathroom and
He-Man's joy of calling everybody names. The nickname guru, or the just random names for people. Rammy should be disqualified from his vocabulary.
It's funny. What do you rate this one?
This episode was awful. This episode was probably somebody's favorite episode. This episode was terrible. This is one of my least favorite episodes. I give it a 1. 1 Battle Cat out of 5.
Hear that, Count Marzo?
I didn't say him. I didn't want to call him out 2 weeks in a row, but God, tell me you don't like this episode, Count Marzo. Please tell me you don't like this episode. It was horrible. All right, let's move on.
Well, Beastman, have you captured Prince Adam's overgrown pet yet?
Not yet, Skeletor. But
What about your power to control animals? Use it on that creature.
I tried, Skeletor. There's something different about this animal. But don't worry. Pretty Kitty has already captured his interest. I will not fail.
You better not, Furbrain. Once I have his pet, then Prince Adam will follow. And when I have him, He-Man will come to their rescue.
And you'll have him.
Exactly.
All right, it's time to leave that week in October behind us and move on to a new week in October back in 1983. This is episode 26, a Beastly Sideshow, which aired Monday, October 10th, 1983. So a fresh start here. The writers of this episode was a combination effort from Robbie London and Peter Dixon. We've seen some stuff from Robbie London before. I don't remember seeing Peter Dixon's name before. We will get all the lowdown on all the writers once we complete our journey here through Eternia. The plot for episode 26 goes a little something like this. A sideshow arrives at the royal palace and entertains the innocent crowds. Unbeknown to all, the sideshow is merely a cover for Skeletor's latest plan, enabling Beastman to capture Prince Adam's pet Cringer. Cringer falls for one of the stars of the sideshow named Pretty Kitty. We'll talk about that later. She manages to lure away the cowardly green cat, and he is captured. Here in the news, Prince Adam transforms into He-Man and storms Snake Mountain to rescue his companion. But he must battle his way through Skeletor's evil warriors first. Evil warriors and masters, it's all just your basic guys. Nobody added, nobody taken away, really.
Yeah.
And the PSA was all about being courageous, is what I got from it.
Yeah, well, that'll come into play as we talk about it.
So what were your thoughts about the sideshow?
I love this episode. This episode is so awesome. As far as the overall plot, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was interesting, up until the point where Skeletor gets to the part about He-Man saving Adam. I know Skeletor doesn't know, but still. There's so many times so far. What are we, 26 episodes into the season 1? In 26 episodes, there have been maybe 4 out of that, not in a row, but total, that Skeletor has a plan to either capture Adam to bring He-Man or capture He-Man to get to Adam, blah, 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 blah. But I like how it was executed. I like the rest of it. I thought it was interesting. At first, I almost didn't recognize Beast Human Man, but you can kind of know, you can kind of tell when he closes it, like when he blinks, because you can see his red eyelid.
Yeah.
Through the mask.
I don't really have a problem with this plot. I mean, it's a decent idea.
No, I don't either. Other than, like I said, and I'm not trying to cut you off here, but other than, like I said, the general thing of Skeletor trying to use He-Man to Adam to He-Man. That's just like a minor nitpick on my part.
No, and I understand that. Now I'm with you on that. I kind of agree. The part that I appreciate about this plot is that basically we're having a Cringer-centric episode.
Oh yes.
So we get to see some character development with Cringer. I always kind of like the juxtaposition when we have Cringer and He-Man present, or if it was to happen where it's Battle Cat and Prince Adam. When it's the combination that you don't usually see.
Right.
That's kind of interesting. I thought Pretty Kitty was an interesting character. I mean, I'm not sure I'm really sold on the name, but it sounded kind of cool coming from Beastman and his voice. But that was a cool little thing to see that aspect of the Pretty Kitty and luring Cringer. I thought that was decent. And it also kind of really emphasized Cringer's flaws. As far as, even though he's a fantastic character and he's hilarious and whatnot, the difference between Cringer and Battle Cat and what Cringer will fall for, or, certain things that Battle Cat probably wouldn't. So it really did a good job differentiating the two versions of the cat. So I didn't really mind it. The PSA was fine. I mean, it didn't stand out to me.
Well, like I said last episode, I like how when the PSAs tie into the episode, and because this episode is all about Cringer having courage, that's why I like the PSA.
And I also kind of enjoyed it in this episode because there's been a few lately where we've seen no Evil Warriors or we've seen no Skeletor, which is cool. I like, when we get some episodes without them. But then it's good to have an episode with all of them every once in a while, too. So I kind of enjoyed seeing more.
Yeah, and like I said, this was a very interesting plot on Skeletor and Beastman's part up until you get to the point of trading one.
Yeah.
For the, I mean, it was an interesting plot. It was an interesting scheme to, hey, we can capture this to get this, to get this, to get this, and then, oh wait, So, but overall, I love the storyline. I thought it was great. And it doesn't just... I know down the line we will get more Orko stories where he will get more character development. I don't remember. I know what a couple of them are, but I don't remember what actually happens in them, so I'm not going to spoil it, obviously. But I like how in this episode, Cringer isn't just the comedian. He isn't just a one. They don't turn him into a one-off joke. Robbie London, specifically, and Peter Dixon to a lesser extent, because I've never, to this point in this series, I've never heard his name before. Robbie London did an amazing job writing for this character, and it was just absolutely great to see that. I thought it was great.
And we'll get more into Robbie London here in a little bit in the next segment, but let's see what kind of artifacts we collected at Castle Grayskull and make our way there, and we'll catch you when we're there.
It's gonna be some carnival.
Look what's coming.
Go on, step up and have a look.
Is she talking to me?
All right, well, we've made our way to Castle Grayskull, and what did you find there, sir?
Cringer has a crush.
Kitty crush.
Adam practically had to tear him away from the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Love-struck Cringer makes him courageous. Holy crap, that was an impressive jump.
Yeah, that's interesting scene.
We don't, like we said in the plot, to this point, we know Cringer is the coward. Battle Cat is the big courageous part of his personality. So, I like that they're exploring and giving more character development to Cringer. I liked it, but I think it's extremely weird. He-Man saying Cringer's, like John Irwin's He-Man voice saying Cringer's name versus his Adam voice. I like it. It's not something that belongs in Snake Mountain to me, but it was kind of strange. I loved after he does his second jump, 2 jumps in one day. He's got a lot of courage for Cringer, but I like after he does the second jump, after He-Man talks to him, he's like, He-Man, can't I just go home? And He-Man's like, you'll feel better in a second.
Yeah. I did. I like that, too. I like the whole fact that we have a Cringer-centric episode, that we're getting the character development. But that doesn't mean Battle Cat doesn't get his moments, too. When he was dragging and tossing everybody around, that was pretty funny.
That was.
He's like, drag, flip.
Yep.
He did it like 2 or 3 times. It was a great moment for Battle Cat. It was very funny. It's not always that we get to see Battle Cat in funny moments. So I thought it was, both on Cringer's side and the Battle Cat side, it was a very cool episode. I really like the fact, and I'm pretty sure that the last couple times this has happened over the course of the series, it's also been Robbie London, but I'd have to double check to make sure it hasn't been one of the other writers. Mm-hmm. But there's a couple of writers for this series that have a excellent ability to ask themselves questions. Like, it's almost like they're looking at it from an outside perspective and saying, if I was a fan of the show, or if I was watching this show, what kind of questions would I have? Well, one of the questions that we have even talked about before, or at least that I've had before, I'm pretty sure we discussed it, was Beastman can control animals. Why can't Beastman...
I know exactly where you're going with this.
And we've talked about, well, if Beastman can control animals, why can he not control Battlecat and or Cringer?
I brought this up.
Right, we talked about it once in a couple episodes back. Mm-hmm. And this is what I'm saying. As a writer, he's able to see something like that and say, hey, people are probably wondering, since Beastman can control animals, what? And so they directly acknowledge that in this episode. Like, he uses an episode to basically hit that question right on the dot, and you have Beastman basically saying, like, I can't control them. I don't know why. I don't understand why I can't control them, but I can't, which obviously leads us to believe that there's something because of the influence of the Power Sword or, you know, Castle Grayskull, etc. But it's like, how awesome is it for a writer to be able to take himself away from the story for a second and be like, what kind of stuff doesn't make sense that we need to clear up or that we need to acknowledge? And I really like that he does that in this episode. And then I like the fact that we had a reappearance of the Shadow Beast. I always like it when creatures or things that are used in an episode don't just fade away from existence, that they're still there. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it was very, very, very awesome. But you're right. Yeah, I'm glad they did finally go back and do that and answer that question.
Yeah, I thought it was just kudos to Robbie London for doing that. Or whoever came up with the idea. I'm just assuming it's him. All right, let's see what we find once we get to Snake Mountain.
Next stop, Snake Mountain.
All right, sir, now that we've arrived at the epically evil Snake Mountain, what do you see there?
I only have one thing. He-Man never, capital N, capital E, capital V, capital E, capital R, heard Teela's calls when she first got trapped. So then how does he know that Skeletor has her? It wasn't, Evelyn never said anything, Beastman never said anything, or if they did say something when they were arguing to each other, you didn't hear it because of the glass that He-Man put in front of them. So how the fuck does He-Man know where Teela is when she essentially stopped calling after, I don't know, whatever, however the hell long it was? That's, other than that one moment, the entire episode is great for me.
I have 4 issues.
Oh, no.
Not all of them major. You'll see it in the episode post, but I don't understand why Man-at-Arms is wielding a lightsaber. I don't get it. Where did that come from?
George Lucas is gonna sue somebody.
Like that's not even. It's not even like you can't even mistake that for anything else. It is 100% a lightsaber.
Yeah.
It's not just some Eternian weapon that resembles a lightsaber. It is a freaking lightsaber. Why does he have it? So yeah, somebody thought they were funny in the drawing department or something. I don't know. Okay, there's a point where He-Man is about to walk into a trap. He's gonna step on one specific tile, which is always gets me when someone puts a trap that's that small. It's like, hey, I really hope he steps on that one tile. But anyways, he's gonna step on that and fall into a pit or whatever. Cringer has his moment of bravery. He jumps to save him and should have triggered the trap and fell.
Right.
Cringer should have triggered the trap. The thing should have opened and Cringer should have fallen in it.
No, because the way that the glass cage fell, it fell awkwardly, so it did the button for the trap was like that's for like a foot to step on, not for a giant glass cage to press. The way I saw it was that the glass cage just kind of floated there or something, or just kind of sat there.
Like I said, that one's not one of my major ones. I just felt like it probably should have been triggered. I hate it when characters do this, no matter what it is. I don't care if it's a live action TV show that I'm watching, if it's a cartoon or whatever. When a freaking main character, especially somebody like He-Man, who is the end-all be-all of this world, he is the go-to guy. He is the savior of every bad event. When he freaking tells you to do something, do it, Tila, you stupid bitch. If he tells you to stay put, here's an idea. Stay put. Anyway, my least favorite thing about this episode, and what ruins the episode for me, really. It literally ruins the episode for me. Orko's pepper.
Oh, come on.
Orko's pepper. First of all, when they introduce the pepper into the episode, I said to myself, this makes no sense. Why is Orko doing something with pepper? Please tell me this is not going to come into play later in the episode. That's literally what I said to myself. I'm like, this makes no sense unless they plan on using this later. Please tell me they do not plan on using this later. Pepper, I know it works like this in cartoon world, I guess. But pepper does not have the effect of making people sneeze. Not like that. He literally threw some pepper in the air, and who was it? Skeletor or whoever just can't stop sneezing and has to retreat?
Beastman, I think
Beastman, whoever the fuck it was, that was retarded. As a kid, I would have thought that was retarded.
I thought that was kind of cool.
That does not surprise me.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm sorry. I hate it when pepper's used as like this thing where like, oh, you throw pepper in someone's face and they will sneeze violently. No, they won't. It won't have a damn effect. It'll fall to the floor and they'll look at you like, what did you just throw in my face? Does not make you sneeze. That'd be like throwing an onion at someone. It's not going to make them cry. Yes, maybe if they're cutting onions for 10 minutes, it'll do that. But throwing an onion in their vicinity is not going to make them tear up. That ruined the episode for me. It really did. That's how things got solved, was by throwing pepper in their face.
There are worse things. It's okay. We'll get Venom next time. We don't have to go after them now.
Yeah, but at least they didn't throw pepper in their face to get them to go away. Let's try to be positive and let's turn this into something good. Let's talk about awards and rankings.
Ranger, why on Eternia did you jump like that?
There was no other way to warn you. You were about to step into a trap.
You risked your life to warn me.
I did, didn't I? I wonder what came over me.
Well, I think it's called courage. Thanks, Cringer. As long as we're here, let's pay Skeletor a visit.
Oh, come on, He-Man. Haven't I been through enough for one day?
You'll feel better after this. He-Man.
I can't wait to get my paws on that bony creep.
All right, I will get my awards out of the way because it's quick and simple. When He-Man tells you to do something, you do it. So, Havoc staff for you, Miss Tila. What about you?
I agree. I'll give a Havoc staff to Tila. She... So far, and I know we're not down to our, because we're only on the second episode, but so far in this series, I have to say this now, she really, she has, like, maybe...
She's not in the running for our favorite character of the series so far.
Oh, fuck no. She has, I would say, 75% bad moments and 25% good ones. You know, so, so yeah, I agree. I give a Havoc staff to Tila. Just bash her over the head with it or stick it up her...
She might enjoy that.
As far as Power Swords, I gotta give one to Cringer. Again, because, I mean, all this character development, so awesome. Him making these, especially that choice at the end to save He-Man. You know, that was awesome. So that's, yeah. What about rankings? What do you rank this one?
You know, I didn't hate it as much as I hated Quest for the Sword. The animation wasn't as bad in this episode. I do like the Cringer-centric plot. Pepper really kind of knocked it down for me a little bit. I give this one a 2.5 Battle Cats out of 5. 2.5.
What?
2.5.
Wow.
Not a good start to the day. I've given a 1 and a 2.5.
Holy shit, what the hell is wrong with you?
Not good episodes.
This is easily a 5 for me.
A fucking
easily.
5?
This is a 5.
Oh my great lord.
5 out of 5 Orcos for me on this one, because this was...
Agree to disagree on this episode.
Well, and that's fine. That's the whole point of the podcasting thing and the internet and every, you know, not everyone has to agree.
Please comment and tell him that he's wrong.
I am not wrong. Everything that Cringer did in this episode makes up for one little pepper gag. Come on.
More than just that.
Get over yourself. I'm going to throw pepper on you.
They also had a lightsaber in the episode.
Well, yeah, but that's more of a... That's more of...
This is more just an episode I just did. It wasn't just because there were specific things that I didn't like about it. It was just as I watched it, I just wasn't finding stuff that I loved about it. It was like, this is just like a bland episode. So that's why it kind of got middle ranking for me. You, on the other hand, like bland.
I loved it.
You love bland stuff and pepper.
Fuck you.
So... Oh my good lord. Let's get to the next episode and see if we can continue to disagree.
You were wonderful.
Thank you and your...
This is Battle Cat. And I am He-Man.
Ooh, I've heard of you. We thought you were only a legend.
We?
I'm Princess Rhea. My father is King Tales of Eternia. See? This is my father's crest.
Well, Princess...
Oh, please call me Rhea.
All right, Rhea. Battle Cat and I will escort you safely home. You can tell us more as we go.
I thought I knew the forest, but I got lost. And that's when the Gargons captured me.
Where were they taking you?
To the city of Targa. Queen Belina pays the Gargons for all captives brought to her, especially captives from Operon.
And I'm sure she would pay a very big price for a princess from Operon.
Oh, yes. And soon more Gargons will be looking for us.
You're right. How much further?
We're almost to the top of the ridge. We can see the valley from there. The Valley of Operon. Oh, isn't it beautiful?
It certainly is.
And over there is my home.
What is that city with the huge lake above it?
That's Targa. The farther we stay from there, the better.
Well, we'd better get across the river and find shelter. It's going to storm.
Rounding up today's group of episodes is episode 27, A Tale of Two Cities, which aired October 11th. That was a Tuesday back in 1983. And it was written by Richard Pardee. who I don't know if we've had any written by him before or not. I'd have to go back and look, but it doesn't sound familiar.
Not with the way that we're doing them.
So, A Tale of Two Cities. When He-Man saves a mysterious woman from the Gargons, he does not know the dangers he is about to face. While helping Princess Rhea to her home, He-Man is knocked unconscious by a falling tree and swept down a river. Captured by the Gargons, the amnesic, He-Man is taken to a prison cell where he meets Garn, one of the most powerful men in the universe, like himself. Displeasing Queen Belina, ruler of the city of Targa, He-Man is forced into gladiatorial combat with Garn. Can He-Man regain his memory and defeat the most powerful, up to that point, man in the universe, Garn? So anyways, A Tale of Two Cities. We basically have two cities that are fairly near each other. One with Princess Rhea and her people, which is the kind, nice, whatever, good village. And then we have Targo, which is the city below the lake, which is more of the evil people. Also, I'm not going to go there. But I already offended enough people in this episode so far today.
Let's just say one is full of Caucasians and the other is full of African Americans.
And guess who the good people are? Guess writers back in 1983. But anyway, so it's two cities kind of that have a feud with each other. He-Man's kind of thrown in the middle of it. So we're meeting a lot of new people. He-Man has lost his memories, so he's got to figure out who he is. Then he's got to figure out a way to get out of the situation, everything like that. The PSA really doesn't have too much to do with the episode for once. Unlike most of the other ones, it's about the value of reading, that, there's other things to do besides watch TV. You can supplement it by reading a good book. And He-Man gives us this whole message in a very weird pose, but it all comes from He-Man. So what is your thoughts on the plot of Tale of Two Cities?
Well, I don't know why sometimes I always start with the PSA. The PSA is... It's a good message, but again, I find it's like, okay, I can see that message in like Mask or Transformers or G.I. Joe or any of the other 80s properties. As I said already in today's episode, I like it when the PSAs tie into what happened in the episode. I'm not saying that it's a bad PSA, it's a great message. I love reading just like the next person. But, it's just one of those things where it's just too
Unless
weird.
You're sitting next to a blind person.
Well, they have Braille.
That's true.
Anyway, God, people are so going to kill us for this.
I'm trying to see if I can offend every other group of people that... Anyway. Stop talking.
Now I have to put a Jeff Dunham clip in this episode. Nice, thanks. You just reminded me of something Ahmed said. I'm trying to offend every infidel I can. Okay, so the plot of this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time I've had to do this with these episodes. I had to watch this episode twice before we recorded. The first time I watched it a couple of days ago before the episode went up. The entire time I just sat there, dumbfounded at how boring this fucking episode is. I wrote nothing down the first time I watched it. Nothing on anything. It was just so boring to me the first time I watched it. So the plot, I don't care. What plot? I don't care. It's two cities. I mean, why not, I'm surprised they didn't have Rhea be Juliet and have someone over in the other city, have the wizard be Romeo or I don't know. What do you got for the plot? Because I just can't. I don't know.
I thought this was an excellent plot. I knew we were going to disagree on this one. Anyway, I thought this episode, seriously, for me, could have been like... Some series have that like pilot episode or that TV special or that made-for-TV movie that airs like a year before the series ever gets greenlit.
Right. Just
to see how people are going to react to characters. Now, I know this is missing a lot of the main characters, and it's missing, all the Evil Warriors, Skeletor, etc. But for me, this had such a, I don't know, to me it had such a complex story, and yet it didn't quite deal with the exact universe and all the Evil Warriors and the Masters or whatever. It could have been, like, to me, like that, like one-off, like, special type thing, like a show unto itself that could almost stand alone before the series even took place. I just like the fact that, for me, it was very interesting that we didn't have any of those main characters really outside of He-Man, but we got introduced to all kinds of new people, and we got to see a whole nother side of Eternia, where there's these two cities that don't like each other necessarily. There's, a long-standing feud. The one is more like, has the gladiatorial type thing, combat, where the other one's more peaceful. So you always, that's kind of a timeless dichotomy there between the two cities. But I like the fact that on the bad city, we'd not just have the queen. She's not just a ruthless. There was some character development with the queen. She's not just like a ruthless leader. She's an opportunistic person. She sees He-Man as holding value, tries to recruit him to be on her side and to help her out. You have like the evil magician guy. Also, I thought all the voices were cool, even though you can tell exactly who each character is. Like, it's, that's Skeletor, and that's Beastman, and that's, whoever. Mm-hmm. But if you hadn't seen those characters yet, like, if you could that's what I'm saying, if you could, like, take this out of that universe somehow, so it wasn't like, I'm listening to Skeletor and I'm listening to all those other people, I thought they fit the characters that they were, with one exception, and that's Princess Rhea. Princess Rhea was terrible. Her voice was terrible. But I thought Linda Gary did good with Queen Belina. It was almost reminded me of the Baroness in G.I. Joe.
Right.
Where it just kind of had that little different sound to it. I thought Oppenheimer's version of the evil magician guy was cool.
The voice for the sorcerer is what we will hear later.
I mean, it was just a variation on the Skeletor voice, but...
Well, no, it is in a bit, in a few ways, but when he goes the high-pitch route a couple of times, that high-pitch sound is what you will hear when we see Chef Allen again later.
Okay. So I kind of enjoyed that we're introduced to all these new characters in a whole new world, but I also like the fact that He-Man is... not, I know it's kind of a common thing to throw this in there. Someone's going to forget their memory, and we've even seen it before in this series. But I liked how it happened. I liked, and we'll get that in the Castle Grayskull moments, but I liked how it happened, and then I liked the fact that he doesn't know who he is, but it's not just that he doesn't know who he is and he's on some random universe with nobody. It's like he doesn't know who he is, but he's in the middle of a feud. He's in the middle of this story that's going on between these two towns, and he's got to figure out what the heck's going on. And you also have the idea that he's combating with somebody that is almost as strong as he is. Yeah. So I mean, there was just multiple things going on that I found a lot of stuff that I was looking for and a lot of stuff that I was interested in. I had the opposite reaction to this plot than you did, obviously. So let's see if you found anything at all at Grayskull.
Take him to the lower dungeon!
I have won, and I am the one to decide Garn's fate.
You fool! Do you not understand the Queen's command?
She is your queen, not mine. I have won, and I say let him go.
Set him free, and bring the stranger to me in the palace.
So I have a feeling you have less than I have to talk about in this segment, so we will start with your Castle Grayskull moments.
Nothing.
Nothing. No.
Absolutely nothing. On both, I tried the second, the first time I was watching and nothing on either side of Castle Grayskull or Snake Mountain popped out at me. And even the second time, I really tried to look for stuff that I thought I was going to like, and nothing. Absolutely nothing.
All right, don't worry. I got some then. First of all, compared to previous episodes that we talked about today, where our evil race of creatures that we were introduced were the rock people who looked childish and stupid. This time we got introduced to the Garbons, who I think actually look like they fit in this universe. I think they legitimately looked like they were the types of characters that would fit into Eternia, unlike some of the evil races that we've got to. Like you have the Avian race, looks like they fit in. we have, different groups of people. They look like they fit in. This group looked like they fit in. I thought that was, I bought it 100% that they belonged on this planet. And they had some cool voices going on there. I thought the cities looked cool from an architecture standpoint, from just seeing these epic, like, bigger cities. It almost reminds you of, I don't know, like the one was kind of like a Roman type city. But I thought it was cool to see not just like a swamp or a forest, but actual civilized cities and, built up things. And the one was even cool that it had a lake on the top of it. I thought that was kind of cool. As I said,
yeah, I did. I will say I did like the lake above the city.
Yeah, that's something unique. I thought the new characters were cool. Like I said, outside of Princess Rhea, who kind of just the voice annoyed me, but I liked the Evil Queen and Draco, whoever his name was, the evil wizard. I thought that was a cool combination. Even Garn was somewhat cool of a little character. You could almost see, like, they could have almost brought Garn back at some point and used him as like a master. Like, he could have been like one of the masters of the universe to me. It's almost like some of the other characters that they use that only appear in 1 or 2 episodes. Like, they could have recruited him. I thought he was that good of a character. I thought it was cool that He-Man had amnesia. I don't want it to be completely overused, and I don't want to see this a lot throughout the series, but if this is like one of the only other times we see it, that was kind of cool. More so because he was completely separated from his group. So it's not like we have Orko trying to remind him who he is or somebody like that. It's like he's on his own. He has no clue where he is, who he is. He doesn't even know the princess that he was just with.
Yeah. No, I can, now that we're talking this out, I can see that, and I do kind of like that. I don't know. I found the whole thing of He-Man hits his head and loses his memory. That's so cliche.
I do agree with that somewhat. However, I think the way that he got knocked the fuck out, like, I thought it was awesome.
I'll bring that up in Snake Mountain.
I thought the way the frickin' tree hits him, and the way that he like lands, and it's just completely like just knocked the fuck out. I thought that was awesome.
I agree to a certain extent. There's some bad animation there that I will get to in Snake Mountain.
There was a little bit of a couple of visual things that didn't quite stand out as he was floating down the river and whatnot. But I thought just the fact that, oh my God, He-Man just got knocked out. We've really hardly ever seen that. To me, that was an awesome moment. I know you shouldn't be rooting for your hero to get knocked out, but I was like, damn, He-Man just got owned. Anyway.
Oh, God. There's so many things I now have to put into this episode. Now I have to go back to Friday.
Oh, good.
You got knocked the fuck out.
He did. I thought overall there was a lot of character development for He-Man in this episode.
There was.
And I thought he got some cool lines as far as the writing goes. There was a time where he's talking to Garn, and he's like, I can't do anything for you. Only you can decide your fate. Only you can, decide what you're going to do. I can't be the one that does that for you. I thought that was cool. Instead of always looking to He-Man as you're the one that has to save everything and fix everything, he's like, no, you have to control your own fate. Good message for people. I thought he had a funny line with the Queen when she tries to bribe him into working for her. He's like, no, I have seen that you are a cruel woman, and I can't be a part of cruelty. Like, that was just kind of a cheeseball line. But I just thought it funny that he just outright, instead of like being polite and being like, no, thanks, I have responsibilities. Like, you're a cruel woman. I was like, really? You just said that to the Queen? That's not really probably PC. He had a line that's been used in other mediums or other stories. I don't know where it originated at, but it's a great line because he said something about like learning that with great skill brings great responsibility. I thought that was an epic line to use. It's something that's always kind of cool in these type of events. It's not just about
Spider-Man ripoff.
It's not just about being super strong or having the great skill, but you got to be able to, own that and use it to the right way.
Right. I will say, and I probably put it at the beginning of the podcast. Come on, Battle Cat, you big pussy.
Big pussy cat. Big pussycat. I also like the fact, and this is probably my favorite part of the episode, because it really ties everything in together, and to me, helps me buy into the concept of Eternia and how it's all connected, is the fact that everybody that he runs into knows who He-Man is.
But they just always thought it was a myth or a legend.
Right. They've heard of this character named He-Man. Now throughout most of the episode, he doesn't know that's his name. So he hasn't said that. And they don't know that they're dealing with He-Man. But once he remembers, or once he, figures out that he's He-Man and somehow it gets said or whatever, people are like, wait a second. We were just dealing with He-Man, or this is He-Man? Like, we thought he was only a myth. We thought he was only a legend. We didn't know he was real. Like, that's awesome to me.
Yeah, that is kind of cool.
Like, it's like he has this, like, mythic, legendary status throughout Eternia.
Yeah.
Which, we don't really know how long he's had this. We don't really know how long He-Man's been in existence. There's been no type of dating, really, besides it can't be longer than how old he is. We know when.
Okay. You mean like carbon dating? Okay, I was
like
thinking something like, whoa, wait a second.
I mean, we know that the Queen eventually got there, and obviously he's her son.
Right.
Or we assume that he's her son.
What do you mean we assume?
I mean, I guess they could throw a wrench in there somehow, but like, it can't be more than like 20, 30 years, but maybe it's longer. I don't know. He has this like legendary status, but like, I just think it's cool that like people thought like he was just a myth or he's just a legend, and now it's like he's right there in front of him and he's like shattering the myth, and it's like, this is a real person. I don't know. I thought that was cool. Last thing, there was just a little thing at the end of the episode where He-Man or something said, He-Man, as he was leaving, said that he's like, don't worry, we'll be back someday.
Mm-hmm.
Will they?
I don't know.
Don't
have to wait and see.
But I just thought it was a cool line to throw in there, because almost like the writer was saying, we'll be back someday. I want another episode, bitches.
Well, I will say, now that we've kind of talked it out, I will say there are certain things that I did like about this one. Now that you've kind of pointed them out, I couldn't see, I don't know, I just had this whole, like, my mind was shut off to this episode when I was watching it. Shut up. But there are some cool moments.
You're entitled to not like an episode.
I know. No, I know. But what I'm saying is, like, I know you agree with me that the whole he got hit on the head. What I find ironic and cliche about it is not necessarily how he got hit on the head, but the fact that, hey, he got hit on the head. He lost his memory at the end. Hey, he got hit on the head. He can remember everything again. Yay!
That seems to be how they always do it in all these things. Like, you just need to get hit again, and then all of a sudden you'll remember shit. I saw that in it was in Avengers. Avengers, that's how they get Hawkeye back.
Well,
she hits him.
Yes, she does, but
you didn't find it stupid then, did you? Just
kidding. There's a big difference between He-Man getting bashed over the head with a tree and Loki pointing some evil...
No, I'm talking about how they come back, too.
Right, I know, but what I'm saying is, when they get hit by something and then they lose it, like when they get hit over the head with something and they lose it, and then they get hit over the head to get it back. I don't care about, like, if it was one and then somehow they get the memory back without being hit, that's fine. But if it's the same thing both times, fuck that. That's too cliche.
I'm going to hit you in the head. Anyway, let's make our way to Snake Mountain and see what we find there.
This stranger is He-Man.
But I didn't believe you really existed.
I guess you were wrong again.
All right, so since we know that you have no Snake Mountain moments,
right.
I will begin. I kind of already talked about it. Some of the voicing is, I guess, where I have my main issue with this episode, which isn't a big issue. Like I said, Princess Rhea annoyed me a little bit. And then overall, I kind of go back and forth. I think the voices fit the character's look. Like, I thought the voice fit the Queen's look. I thought the voice fit the magician's evil wizard.
Your time's up.
No. But again, it's not any different from some of the voices we hear from the regular characters. So I kind of go back and forth on the voice work in this episode. If I had to pinpoint a weak spot, I guess I would say it's the voice work. But I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm used to some other voice actors who can use so many different voices. There was a moment where He-Man apparently has the ability to throw his voice, because there was one part where he goes to call for Battle Cat, and he's been talking, and then it's like he turns to call for Battle Cat, and all of a sudden his voice is just like...
It's like he's talking through a megaphone, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, He-Man, you got some skills. And
that has happened before.
And the last thing I had is, I don't know if this was an error or not. I don't know if these people had a quick turnaround or if it was an animation error. But at the end, there's basically a celebration scene with Princess Rhea and the King, who have been reunited. And I think Garn was there because he's made good now, and He-Man and everything. The Gargons, I think it was Gargons.
Gargons, yeah.
Gargons. Those were like the warriors that were part of this bad city.
Yep.
That was the Queen's warriors. Well, they're pictured in the celebration scene clapping and holding their hands up high. So did they have a change of heart and are both cities equally good now? And they're all celebrating? Or did they just somehow accidentally get put in that scene because somebody didn't know that those were the bad characters?
It's probably just an animation glitch, just like, Optimus Prime got turned wholly blue in one episode of G1.
Yeah, I just remember seeing that scene, and I'm like, wait a second, why are the evil warrior guys clapping with He-Man and the good people? I don't understand this. So that was the only stuff I had. You had nothing, right?
No, I have 3 things.
Oh, okay. You do have something.
Okay, you were talking about how cool when the tree falls. When the tree falls, it shows the water all around He-Man, like he is walking on water. Yet right before that, when he was standing on solid, like right before the tree falls, he's standing on solid ground. As the tree hits him, you can see the water around him. That is such bullshit animation.
I did not notice that at all.
I will, if you need me to, I'll go back and screen cap it for you.
Okay, do that.
Rhea and Battle Cat back away when they hear someone coming, so not to be seen by that person. Yet after she says that they are taking He-Man to Targa, or whatever the fuck that city's called, Battle Cat then roars. Wouldn't you think that it would be giving their position away? Come on, Battle Cat. You just had a whole bunch of character development last episode. Come on now. The Queen and the Sorcerer attempt to whisper to each other. How can He-Man not hear this? They are talking in normal voices. Ugh.
Are you done now?
Yes.
Okay. Let's hand out some awards, because I got some.
I can help it. Battle Cat, you and Rhea go through the city and take the people to the arena. Come on, Garn. I'll need your help one more time.
What are you going to do?
Save the city, if we can.
But why should we help our enemies? They should be punished.
It's not our job to punish those who are evil. That's what the law and the courts of Eternia are for. I believe all life is precious. Just as I spared your life, help me spare theirs.
All right, sir, any hardware to give out?
Nope.
You're so lame. I will give double power swords out here, 2 power swords. One to Richard Pardee, the writer of this episode. I thought he wove a great story that could have been more than one episode. It seemed to me like almost a mini movie. I was very into the world that he created, and I liked the development that he gave to He-Man. So I'm also giving one to He-Man because he was just like a man of great intelligence in this episode. He had lots of wisdom, words of wisdom to give out to people. He was successful in all the stuff he did. Cemented his legendary status throughout Eternia. I just thought he was good. So the writer and He-Man both get a power sword from me. And you're lame, so you didn't give anything. And I don't even want to know what you ranked this episode. I'm really going to be upset, so go ahead.
Originally, when I first watched it, the very first time when I didn't write any notes down, it was a 0.
Oh my god.
However, now it's a 1 out of 5 Orcos.
Oh, my brain hurts.
It was just too boring to
my
me.
Lord. This is one of my favorite episodes of the series so far. I'm not ready to give it a 5 because the voices a little bit threw me off, and there's just a couple tiny little minor things, and I don't know if I can give a 5 to an episode that only includes He-Man and none of the other main characters, but I will give it a 4.5 out of 5. A 4.5 out of 5, as close as I can give it to a 5. So we need people to sound off on the website because we have a discrepancy here. All right, we both equally thought the Quest for the Sword was terrible. We gave that a 1 and a 2. Like, A Quest for the Sword was awful. 1 and 2, we're not arguing about that one. But then we have something that needs to be settled here because on one hand, you give a Beastly Sideshow a 5, and I give it a 2.5. And A Tale of Two Cities, I give a 4.5, and you give a 1.
Yeah.
So people, please let us know which episode was better, a Beastly Sideshow or A Tale of Two Cities.
We're looking at you, Tim Silvers.
We're looking at multiple people. Count Marzo needs to start going to the website and commenting.
Yeah, get off your ass, Count Marzo.
If you're a big-time He-Man fan, then you should be commenting on this shit. I am questioning your He-Man level of whatever you want to call it.
Loyalty.
Yes, you need to be commenting on the webpage, sir. I know you have time because you tweet every 5 minutes. Just kidding. So everybody else that hasn't gone to the website, go to the website and let us know which episode is better, A Tale of Two Cities or a Beastly Sideshow. And if you say a Beastly Sideshow, I will never speak of you again. I'm just kidding.
Anyone that says a Beastly Sideshow gets a free He-Man DVD from me.
That's lame. That is lame. You're retarded. All right. We need to go to commercial before he does something else stupid.
It's a good thing Orko got my sword back today, or Prince Adam might never have been seen again. The Rockman who took my sword thought it made him a leader, but he was wrong. A sword or any other symbol doesn't make a person a good leader. What does is intelligence, respect for others, and an unselfish desire to do good. People are proud of a leader with those qualities, so if you develop them in yourself, you could become a good leader too. See you soon.
Like animation? Come listen to Animation Aficionados.
And if you disagree with us, you could be a guest on a future show.
Available on iTunes, the Zune Market, and animationaficionados.com.
And now, through the magic of the Cybernet Space Cube, the computer and stories of the Transformers. Transformers Generation 2.
Wrong. This is not Generation 2. This is Generation 1, done right. The year will be 2014, and from secret staging grounds on 2 of Cybertron's moons, the valiant podcasters prepare to reclaim their reputations. September 17th, 2014, the TFG2 podcast premieres 45 podcast episodes dedicated to all 98 episodes of the Generation 1 cartoon, plus so much more than meets the ear. Join TFG1Mike, Pecan Court Michael, OptimusSolo, and sometimes Steve Megatron as they redo TFG1 and get it done right. You can find the TFG2 podcast on www.geekcastradio.com and iTunes.
We shall rise again.
Today, I want to talk to you about courage. Now, courage not only means being brave in the face of danger, it also means having the strength to say no when your friends are trying to talk you into doing something you know is wrong. In short, courage means having principles and sticking to them, no matter what. See you all again soon.
Is this thing on? Oh, goody. Why, hello there. It's your dear old Uncle Joker here. I bet you're asking yourself, what could I be possibly doing here of all places? Well, I'm laughing at the fact that this new podcast presented by Geekcast Radio is called Legends of the Dark Knight. Who the heck knew the Bat was so popular? Ugh. Join Steve, Mike, and sometimes Tara for reviews on the greatest DC animated universe cartoon to ever meet Gotham City. So join moi for the talk of the town, or I'll send Captain Clown after you. He gets mighty angry when he doesn't get to have his garbage skull. So put on a nice big smile and join us for the next Geekcast Radio Network podcast, Legends of the Dark Knight.
Grab your helmets because it's time to assemble Mask. The Geekcast Radio Network has launched Masked Mayhem with your hosts OptimusSolo and TFG1Mike. This podcast covering all 75 episodes of Mask will feature in-depth analysis of every episode, talk on the toys, and more. Masked Mayhem will run 30 podcast episodes. You can find us in iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com. Get your spectrums ready as podcasting is the ultimate weapon.
I hope you enjoyed today's adventure. You know, television is not the only way to be entertained by an exciting story. There is another way. It's called reading. And one of the wonderful things about books is that they allow you to choose whatever kind of adventure you like. A trip with an astronaut, an adventure with the great detective Sherlock Holmes, a comedy, anything. You can find it in a book at your school or neighborhood library. Why, I'll bet there are even some good books right in your own home, just waiting to be read.
All right, thanks for sticking with us. This is the point in the show where we usually give our overall thoughts on the series so far. So we have now gone through 27 of the first season episodes. That seems like we're just like hauling ass here. We're through 27
because we're enjoying
individual episodes so far. We're still in the first half of season 1, obviously, so we still have a lot to go through. My thoughts are pretty simple. Status quo as it has been the last couple episodes. I'm not upset with where we're at. I'm still enjoying it. I still actually look forward to every single episode I watch, which I can't believe I'm still looking forward to every single episode. I'm waiting for that point where I'm like, oh God, we're just repeating ourselves over and over again. But we're not there yet. I'm still greedy though. I still want more character development. We did get some Cringer development. Ongoing He-Man's the easiest one to get character development because he's the main star, so we get a lot of him. But I would still, I appreciate the Cringer development. We've got a little Orko development in the last couple weeks. I really would like to see some more of like a Ram Man, Stratos, any evil warrior. We really do not get development enough on the evil side of things. And I'm really yearning for more characters. We got Zodak last week. It'd be cool to see a couple more people supplement, and not just one-time shots. I would like to see some people that are going to get return appearance, like multiple appearances that are going to be almost part of the team now. I don't know if that happens, and don't ruin it for me, but that's kind of what I'm yearning for. What are your thoughts on the series so far?
Just on these episodes today, love all the character development they gave Cringer in the first 2 episodes. I agree with you. I mean, there's almost this section at this point is useless because we say the same thing every week.
It's going to change soon, I can tell.
I mean, well, I'm just saying, it's like you said, each week we're both, because I'm looking forward to watching episodes just like you are. So
I will say though, this was the closest. I don't mean to cut you off. This is the I watched these differently here. I watched A Quest for the Sword and a Beastly Sideshow one day. Earlier on, and I didn't quite have a chance that night to watch A Tale of Two Cities. Okay, if you remember, my ratings were 1 and 2.5 on those 2 episodes.
Yeah.
That was the closest I've been to not looking forward to watching the 3rd episode. I was like, please tell me A Tale of Two Cities is going to be a good episode, or we're going to have a hat trick of shit this week.
Well, see, I was the opposite, where I liked the first 2 episodes, and the last episode was like, oh, this is a fucking letdown. Can't we go to more?
I was so glad that A Tale of Two Cities was such a good episode, because otherwise, this section may have been differently for me. I may have been actually not looking forward to next week's episodes if I would have got 3 shitty ones in a row. So thank God for A Tale of Two Cities.
2 good ones. Tale of Two Cities can go burn in hell.
You're stupid.
You're dumb.
Anyway, that's it. You're not talking anymore. Thank you for listening to Tales of Eternia. If you'd like to get in contact, well, that's not talking, with us or leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. And now you can see which one of us is the bright one of the group. Visit the website, www.geekcastradio.com. Everybody needs to go there, find episode 9's post, and tell us which episode was better. www.geekcastradio.com. Please do this. Send an email to feedback@geekcastradio.com if you'd rather do it that way. You can leave show feedback in iTunes. That's more for the general thoughts on the podcast overall. We could use some more of those. Please give us some 5-star reviews and tell us how you feel on the show overall. So if you want overall thoughts, go to iTunes. If you're wanting to comment on individual episodes, go to geekcastradio.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Geekcast Radio. What's your Twitter name?
TFG1Mike.
Mine's OptimusSolo. You can become a fan on Facebook, Geekcast Radio Network. You can call the voicemail line. We haven't had any of those, I don't think, for Powers of Grayskull. So you could be the first one to leave us a voicemail. Sound off. If you are so passionate about something that we've talked about, you disagree with us so much, or you agree with us so much that you want to be heard.
I think the Beastly Sideshow is the best episode ever.
If you really want to be heard. One. We hope you enjoyed the tales today, and don't forget to join us on our next adventure when we'll be discussing episodes 28, 29, and 30, Valley of Power, Game Plan, and the Return of Orko's Uncle. In the right order. See how that happened, folks? Stop complaining. It's how it's supposed to be. For now, I'm OptimusSolo with...
TFG1Mike.
By the powers of Grayskull, you all have the power.
You're the biggest.
Hearing He-Man lecture Adam will be more fun than a party.
Did someone say party? And what was that about He-Man? How?
He-Man's going to let you know what's on his mind.
I already know. How?
Don't tell me you and He-Man came face to face and I wasn't there to see it.
Okay, I won't tell you. How?